the plan all along, it seemed this offseason, was Jacoby Brissett's a starter, bring Drake Maye along. I have been the president of the fan club of take your time with Drake Maye because it's not about this season. It's about the next 3, 5, 10 seasons for the Patriots. But it was. And Jerod Mayo said in the past, we'll go back literally July 23rd, his exact quote before they kicked off training camp when asked about who the starting quarterback is. Jerod Mayo said, yeah, coming out of the spring, I don't think there's any doubt Jacoby Brissett is the starting quarterback at this point in time. When we get out on the field this summer with the pads on, we'll see how it all plays out. Coming out of the spring, I think it's clear that Jacoby is the most pro-ready guy we have. He's played a lot of football. Then, Monday morning, talking on the Greg Hill Show, Mayo said, we came into the season even right after we drafted Drake at number 3 with the development plan. We're going to stick to the plan. It may not be a popular plan, but we're doing what we think is right for the organization, not only in the near term, but the long term. Then when asked who the starter is, he said, we still don't know now. We have another preseason game. When I know, I'll let you know. He's opened the door. And I even said when he declared Jacoby the starter, I said, no, duh. He's the best professional quarterback. He's the best NFL-level quarterback that knows how to run the system and just get this offense from point A to point B each and every week. It's not about winning a championship right now because this roster is far from that. But then we saw the flashes that Drake Maye showed against the Eagles. An absolute dime of a pass, 55 yards down the field, dropped by Javon Baker. So goes down as an incompletion. But the flick of the wrist showed out his arm talent, made his progressions, third down conversion to Javon Baker that he caught. Again, flashing of what the development plan is and how far along he's come from a draft pick at 3 overall where they had to completely recreate his footwork, all his mechanics from the waist down and kind of baby step him all the way up through the preseason to now Jerod Mayo admitting, yeah, well, Jacoby Brissett was our starter coming out of the spring. Right now he's the most pro-ready guy to, you know what, week 1, if Drake earns it, he earns it. We haven't seen Maye fully go with the starters yet. I'm talking the full first unit of offense, offensive linemen, receivers here and there. But finally, it sounds like it's an actual competition. And now it's a matter of time of give Drake Maye the reps, get him working with the first team offense, because put your money where your mouth is. You want to talk about quality reps, you have to do that between him and Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, I think it's bound to happen that what you say, whether it's July 23rd or whatever you say at the beginning of the season or at the time, you know that things are going to change once you start playing in those game-like situations like preseason. And I think Drake Maye has shown some promise. Of course, we've seen some great plays by him, but I personally think he might need to see a little more football for us to start considering him to start in that week 1 position, just because I think it's possible that, you know, he has shown some great things already for the team, but I do think Jacoby still, you know, I have to say that I'm with you on that, George, just like the whole take your time. You've got the kid for the next couple of years. I think it's important that you don't throw him to the wolves. Give him a little bit of time to develop. He has to see a little more football. He has to kind of work with the different players and see how just that relationship goes for him. But then I don't know. I mean, it's great to see that like Jerod Mayo's kind of reconsidering what he's saying, because you can see that he can see the promise as well and the potential in Drake Maye. But I don't know. I think I'm with you on this one, George.
Yeah, Jerod Mayo even said too on the Greg Hill Show that there was a question sort of with this unit, this offensive line, or it might have been his presser. He spoke twice on Monday morning. But are you comfortable with it? Or this could have been when he spoke Saturday. Jerod Mayo said it recently, nonetheless. My fluid thinking, my fleeting thoughts. He basically said, do you have the cast to support it? And he said, Drake Maye, Jacoby Brissett, the 5 guys up front, that has to be good. We're not going to throw, no matter what, rookie or a 3-year starter to the Wolves, like you just said. Because something else that jumped out was he was asked, does Drake Maye perform at a level that your plan changes or maybe even be the starter? He said 100%. We're still in training camp. We still have our preseason game at Washington. We don't have a starting quarterback right now. We'll announce that. He could absolutely be QB1. So could Jacoby. Now, Jerod isn't exactly going back on his word because he said Jacoby's a starter coming out of the spring, but he said it's a competition. But now he's addressing it more than ever. And this does show the flashes that Drake Maye has shown and displayed where he could have been asked who's a starter, and he could have been like, right now it's still Jacoby. He was a starter coming out of the spring. He's on track to be our starter week 1. Instead, he just said, it's open right now. It's a competition. It could be Drake. It could be Jacoby. And I love this side that we hear from Jerod Mayo. And also, this isn't a Jerod Mayo decision. This is a Alex Van Pelt, T.C. McCartney, Elliott Wolf, Scott Peters decision. Offensive coordinator, QB coach, GM, and offensive line coach. And then Jerod Mayo, of course. But none of these guys are being stubborn and they're saying, no, I have Drake Maye on track for week 7 against the Titans on the road. That's what we're going with. They're watching and they're going, the kid can ball. And you know what? If he could run this offense, but it's all about the 5 guys up front and it's about the offensive line. We saw Darian Lowe play more snaps than anyone against the Eagles into the third quarter. That shows they're still not suited with what they see at left tackle. We've seen Mike Onwenu go out to right tackle. That shows they're still trying to figure out that combination of the 5 up front. I don't know if they have 5 good offensive linemen. They have 3 good interior offensive linemen, but the offensive line has to protect Drake Maye because if they are the reason he can't be confident and comfortable in the pocket, everything can fall apart. And we only have to look back a year where a bad offense or offensive line can make a quarterback digress like it was with Mac Jones, going from a Pro Bowl alternate to basically we got to part way with these guys because he's broken in New England.
Yeah, and Drake Maye is the type of guy that you build around because he's so young and what he's bringing to the team. And like you said, he's showing what he can do already with that 55-yard pass down to Javon Baker. And I think that was great because it kind of shows that he can handle the pressure around him. He can handle the pocket pretty well. He's got great footwork. He's kind of he's an athletic kid. You know, he can move around a little bit and then he can deliver. Imagine if that was caught. Okay, there's already so much hype around Drake Maye, but imagine if that was actually caught. People would be pushing for him already. And I think they are, but at the same time, I think the hype, just the excitement around him, we also need to think about it logically. It's like, hey, if we're Patriots fans and we want some longevity for this team, let's not rush the process. Let's do it right. Let's continue to develop him like the plan was the whole entire time. Let's continue to see how he can do with certain players or how he's connecting with his receivers, that kind of thing, and do it right. So if we want Jacoby Brissett to start week 1, I think that's a fine approach. I think Drake Maye will come in and he will deliver when he is called because we can see he's ready. He's played enough football. You know, he's got the accolades. He's got the experience to be where he is. But we want to do this right. We don't want to rush it, and then we don't want to risk ruining it, right?
It's also in that Eagles preseason game. At that point, that was the 16th time they've been on the field, practice or games. That was the first day we saw Drake Maye outperform Jacoby Brissett. He followed up, had a strong practice Saturday, had a strong practice Sunday. Then Jacoby Brissett bounced back himself on Monday and looked like the better quarterback as well, scoring in a 1-minute drill they had held at the end of practice, as I saw reports from Andrew Callahan, who was down there with the Boston Herald. So it is just going back. And Jerod Mayo said it too on the Greg Hill show. It's about consistency. He said it at his press conference. It's about consistency. Drake Maye can show those flashes. Okay, can you do it the next play, the next drive, the next game? Because that's what it's about.
Keep it up.
And he said too, he was candid. Everything's basic in the preseason. Offenses are basic. Defenses are basic. And against the Eagles, it was the backups. When stuff really gets going, that's going to be week 1 against the Bengals. That's going to be week 2 against the Seahawks, where you have Lou Anarumo and then you have the new head coach of the Eagles, Will McDonald, the defensive-minded guy that came over from the Ravens. That's where the tests are going to be. Then the Jets are within the first 4 weeks. Like, it's going to be a gauntlet of a schedule. They have to do it right.